I took a total shot in the dark on this one. A Micron XKE, sold for parts with a busted screen. Most people would have passed it by, but something about it hooked me. The specs screamed late 90s power, a Pentium MMX CPU, USB port, ESS sound card with hardware wavetable, and even a MIDI Gameport. That's not your everyday junker. So let's take the tour. Up front, there's a removable floppy drive. But here's the neat part, there's also a second connector if you rather slot in a battery pack. The neighboring bay holds an optical drive. And get this, it has physical audio playback controls. Old school media buttons, the kind you never see anymore. With this drive, you can pop a music CD and play it without even booting the computer. And since music CDs were the thing back then, it felt pretty high-tech and seriously cool. And yes, this bay can also be swapped for a battery. On the left, 2 card slots wait for PCMCIA expansion. On the back, it's port heaven, VGA, parallel, infrared, microphone, headphone, docking connector, serial, PS2 for both keyboard and mouse, plus the power socket. On the right, we've got the hard drive bay, which sadly demands a proprietary caddy. We also have an S-video and composite video out, a USB port for easier file transfers, and my personal favorite, the MIDI Gameport. Flip it over and you will find 2 144-pin EDO RAM slots. Depending on the model, it came with either 32 MB or 64 MB on board, maxing out at a very respectable 192 MB. Opening the lid, you're greeted by a mini LCD status panel. The keyboard includes both a pointing stick and a trackpad, though the recessed keys feel a little bit awkward. Screen brightness and volume are controlled via the function keys. Power is standard fare. A barrel connector, 19 volts at 2.6 amp. Time to fire it up. Yes, it powers on. A quick tap on F2 and that should get us in the BIOS settings. Here we are. Everything looks good except for the obviously scuffed screen. The only real performance tweak is cache on and off, but the Pentium MMX should make up for it. With the help of setmul, I'm confident to hit many sweet spots for MS-DOS gaming. Now onto the display. The XKE came with either a 12.1-inch 800x600 screen or a 13.3-inch at 1024x768. Current prices do not justify replacing mine, so I'm just gonna remove it and turn the machine into a half-top. Before doing anything else, as always, I recommend checking for any internal batteries to avoid leaks and corrosion. The BIOS battery is a 3V lithium CR2430, which should be quite easy to replace. However, the suspend to RAM battery is another story. It requires complete dismantling in order to access it. Moment of truth, take 2. Here we go. The largest storage card detected by the BIOS is 8 GB. On this next screen, we can adjust all the necessary individual audio settings such as interrupt, direct memory access, and MIDI port. And I also recommend disabling the power management, as it tends to mess up with consistency in performance. And now comes the real fun, testing just how good this machine is as a dedicated DOS gaming rig. Audio setup is a breeze as usual with ESS audio drives. Just set the blaster variable and you're good to go. But to be sure and for finer control, use the ESS CFG and ESS Vol utilities. Let's now enjoy some ESFM and wavetable audio. The joystick port is essential for flight sims or anything that requires analog input. And for fast-paced games, being able to use a gamepad makes the experience most enjoyable. Testing this 266 MHz Micron XKE with my standard trio of speed-sensitive games, it is slightly too fast for Test Drive 3, but runs well in Wing Commander and Ultima 7. Let's take a look at the 3D bench results. Early 286 level performance isn't really possible here due to the high CPU frequency. But you do get roughly a decade's worth of game compatibility, which is nothing to complain about. And the higher frequency does help a lot with more demanding games like Quake, which achieves a playable 17.3 frames per second at 640 by 480. The 266 MHz CPU makes Windows 98 feel snappy and responsive. Driver support wasn't an issue either, except for the NeoMagic graphics chip. I found compatible drivers only on Dell's website by searching for NM2160. And with just 2 MB of VRAM, it severely limits any kind of DirectX gaming. And of course, having USB support makes file transfers a breeze. All things considered, the Micron XKE absolutely earns its spot in the most desirable club of DOS gaming laptops. It ticks a lot of right boxes: CPU tweakability, great audio, and all the ports I need. I'm giving it a score of 4.5. This is a machine I can wholeheartedly recommend as a worthy alternative to a desktop system. I just wished that it was not so hard to find. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thanks for coming along with me. You can show your support by hitting that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for what's next.